Hi, this is Cal Ripken Jr., and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
Mike Lindsley back with you. Another episode here of the ML Sports Platter, all over the major platforms like Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, Deezer, you name it. Go ahead and download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review where podcasts are found. On your smartphone device, don't forget, just go look at the purple button, for example, the purple podcast button on an Apple phone. Tap that, search ML Sports Platter, hit subscribe, and new and archived episodes are into your phone instantly. We are brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College. For every and in life, Bryant and Stratton College. 2- and 4-year degrees, academics, excellence. It is a tremendous place. You play sports, you can learn tons of different business degrees, and there's a nursing program now that just got introduced. It's awesome there. It's a great time to be a Bobcat, and if you're in and around Central New York, 2 awesome locations, James Street in the city, and of course in Liverpool. BryantStratton.edu, academics and athletics and excellence right now with the Bobcats. We're also sponsored by Welch & Company Jewelers, Prestwick Golf, and our good friends over at Rosie's Corner. So I want to spend a good chunk of time talking about Phil Mickelson winning the PGA Championship and, you know, what this means for him, for golf, the future, all sorts of stuff. First things first, there were 2 things going into this tournament on the final day, that is. The first time we've ever witnessed, the chance that somebody at this age could win a major. Tom Watson, not too long ago, almost won the Open Championship. But there were 2 big things going into Sunday. Just that were historic, really. And one of them was that, Mickelson could become the oldest major winner, right? Number 1. Number 2, not since 1981 in the Masters had the final pairing both had a minimum of 4 majors. The other guy, of course, Phil Mickelson was playing with, Brooks Koepka. And so those 2 things were extremely significant. 99, by the way, of the top 100 golfers play in the PGA Championship, played in the PGA Championship this year. That tournament is usually the stiffest, toughest competition. The course, by the way, with the wind and the elements and the difficulty, should not have adapted well with Phil's skill set. I know he's hitting it a mile now and all the rest, but going into it, you look and you said, geez, this just isn't a good fit, is it? I mean, between the age and the skill set and the course, and, well, this is why sports are amazing. And Phil Mickelson makes history. He wins his 6th major. He still has that, that U.S. Open that's eluded him, multiple times, obviously. The most famous one probably, at Pinehurst in 99, losing to Payne Stewart. But he gets his sixth major, and he is the oldest golfer ever to win a major. And, he bogeyed 1, and I thought to myself, boy, that could be detrimental, right? That could really, how's he going to react to this? And, I was texting with a ton of my buddies leading up to Sunday, because all of us golf junkies, man, we love stuff like this, man. We love, Jack Nicklaus in 86 and Tiger in 2019, and, it's just, this is what it's about, right? And we were texting like, man, I don't know if he can hold up. I think he might fall back a little bit, and Koepka's going to get him, and, and Mickelson just rebounded and made shots and, hits one out of the sand and in, and, really hung in there, kept driving the ball with unbelievable force and distance. And obviously around the greens, he may be the best, I don't want to say short game. Well, I guess I do. Short game player of all time. Short game, you think 100 yards and in. But I mean, short game with him, like around the greens. One of the greatest iron players to ever play, too. He strikes it unbelievably well. And when Mickelson's rolling in the greens in regulation, now he's hard to beat when he's hitting it like that. But he hung in there. And it was awesome. It was really, really great to see. Now, before I dive into Phil Mickelson in terms of, where he is historically and all the rest, I wanted to get into two quick things. The immediate future. What does this do for golf's immediate future? Number one, Phil Mickelson, 50 is a new 40 now on tour. These guys are spending piles of money, and they've got it, on personal chefs, personal trainers, personal nutritionists, life coaches, exercise coaches. They've got more personal needs people now than ever before. Phil lost a ton of weight. He doesn't have those man jugs anymore. He's got rid of the cottage cheese hips and all the rest of it, and he looks spectacular. I mean, you could argue that he looks better at 50 than he did at 38, 39, 40. And it's showing on the course. I mean, he's a lot more flexible. Again, going up against guys who are 30, 25 years younger, almost 30 years younger than you in some cases. And to be able to still kill the ball the way he is and shape shots and all the rest, it's really, really impressive. I thought it was really cool. Hopefully one day we'll see Tiger back out on the course, but he, congratulated Phil. And I think a lot of people in golf are looking at Phil, and that's where I'm going with this. They're looking at Mickelson and going, if I can stay in shape for a while, hit my prime in my 30s and all that, and then my 40, when I turn 40, it's not going to be over for me. When I turn 45, it's not going to be over for me. If I keep on keeping on, it's not going to be over for me because I can keep winning tournaments. You can go to the Champions Tour and win. I have utmost respect for the Champions Tour because there's so many really, really good players and so many legends of the game on that tour. But in the annals of golf history, winning on the Champions Tour does not equate to being 50 and winning the PGA Championship. It just doesn't. Tiger Woods, and I know the accident happened, but I always thought he was never going to play on the Champions Tour because there just wasn't enough in it for him. What's he going to go do? Try to go become the greatest Champions Tour of all time? He's already the greatest golfer of all time. Is he going to go try to compete with guys and, be 55 and say, hey, I won the blank open? I just don't, nothing in it for him. There's something maybe in it for guys like, your Hale Irwins and your Tom Kites and your, those kind of Jim Furyk, those kind of players. Not for Tiger. Phil Mickelson? Yeah, I guess a little bit, but again, it doesn't equate to winning on the PGA Tour. And Phil Mickelson now, as we look at his career, he's got the 6 major wins, right? He won the Masters in 2004, 2006, 2010, the Open Championship in 2013, which was just a remarkable event. Remarkable, spectacular comeback trail type of win. And, he's got 2 PGAs in 2005. I actually went to the first day of that one in Baltusrol in Jersey. And then this year at the Island Course at Kiowa. So that's 6 majors. He also has won 45 times, folks, on the tour now. That's a big number. Big number. He's won 11 times on the European Tour, once on the Sunshine Tour, once on the Asian Tour, once on the PGA Tour of Australasia. I think that's Australasia, right? That's what that's called. Challenge Tour. He's got 1 and then 2 from the PGA Tour champions and then 4 others. And when you combine his PGA and European wins, he's over 55. I mean, that's a good number. You take the Asian Tour, too. It's a big deal. He got 57 wins between those 3. That's pretty unbelievable. And when you look at him all time, in terms of major wins, here's who's ahead of him. Billy Casper, Byron Nelson, Arnold Palmer, Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Sam Snead. That's it. He's ahead of Watson. He's ahead of Sarazen. He's ahead of VJ. He's ahead of Trevino. He's ahead of, a lot of guys he's ahead of. Tommy Armour, Raymond Floyd, Davis Love III. He's ahead of all these guys. Ernie Els. He got a lot of, I think, time to see, where does Rory end up on this list, right? Where does Dustin Johnson? I mean, Dustin Johnson's got 24 wins already. I don't think people realize that. Rory's got 19. Dustin Johnson has 24. He's got a real shot. I mean, he's 80. Well, let's see. He was born in 84. He's about 5 years younger than me, 36 years old. He could be putting it together for a long time. He could win. I mean, at 36, you figure another 20 years for him, 15, 20 years playing. He could end up in that low 40s area. He really could. And now, you start to think about, okay, with Phil's win, where does this put him all time? Right? And I had him pretty much in the top 10 before this victory. But now he's not only solidified and immovable until many players come in and kick him out. Rory could, Brooks could. I mean, these guys with their majors already. I mean, you think about Brooks Koepka has 4 majors already. Rory has 4 majors already, right? Like, that's big time stuff. They could catch Phil easily. I mean, they only have to win 3 more to win more than Phil. I think Brooks Koepka is going to win. He's so just dialed in with the majors and all that, and he just loves the stage. I think he's going to win 8, 9, 10 majors, minimum. I know we get, you got to be careful when we do that, right? You get caught up in, I mean, look at what Tiger was going to catch Jack Nicklaus with his eyes closed, and, his world falls apart, and the comeback and all the rest, and he won't ever catch Jack now. But Brooks Koepka could catch Palmer, Trevino, Faldo, Mickelson, Jones, Varden, Snead. I mean, he could catch all those guys. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Tom Watson has 8, Gary Player 9, Ben Hogan 9. He could get up there with those guys. Hell, he could get up there with Walter Hagen, who has 11. He could, if he gets wicked hot, he could catch Tiger. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility. He's got to win 11 more, which, and Jack's at 18, but he could catch Tiger. He could catch Jack but he's got to go on just a wicked run at some point. He's got to go on a run like Woods did, that 99, 2000, 2001, early 2002, Masters, Bethpage Black and all the rest. He'd have to do something close to that. To pile up some majors quickly and stay healthy. We've seen him have a little bit of knee trouble already, so that's something to monitor. But where is, in the pantheon of golf, where is Phil? Where is Phil? He's easily top 10, but is he inside that by a little bit of an amount, right? Here's the thing. There are so many elite golfers all time. I just listed, honestly, a bunch of them. And I think once you get to, I mean, look, it's hard to win one major. You get two-ish, three-ish, you're knocking a little bit on the Hall of Fame door, especially if you're a really, really good player and other, you've got a bunch of other tour wins. You're really, really successful globally. You have an impact on the game, maybe in the Ryder Cup. You're a great international player type of a thing. Like Sergio Garcia, because of his Ryder Cup, and I'll get to the Phil top 10 thing in a minute, but I wanted to tie this stuff in. Like Sergio Garcia, has the one Masters win, right? But his international play is, it's spectacular. You can win just a couple of majors and still be a Hall of Famer. You can be Jose Maria Olazabal, Retief Goose, and Bernard Langer. I can't believe he only has 2. I still can't believe that. I really can't. Greg Norman, 2, right? Could have had 3 or 4. Andy North, 2. These guys are all great players. Jordan Spieth, he has 3, right? Like, these are all great players and, in many respects, Hall of Fame players. It's hard to win one. You get that second, third. But then when you start getting into 4-5 territory, that's when we start rolling out the word elite. And that's where I would put Koepka and McIlroy all time already, because they already have 4 majors. I mean, and they have a ton of golf left to play. You get into that 4, 5, 6 type, where you're getting Faldo, you're getting Byron Nelson, you're getting Seve Ballesteros. I mean, you're getting some major Raymond Floyd. Ernie Els has 4, right? Like, these are elite guys here, right? Elite players. There's elite, there's great, there's good. Elite players all time. There are a ton of them. I mean, if elite is, and I say it is, around 4 and up majors, you got 20 players, 25 players all time who are elite. Now, I judge a lot of things on, as far as, the all-time list in golf. I judge it on major wins first, PGA Tour wins, obviously, impact and era you played in, what's your international record, things of that sort. For example, Colin Montgomery is never going to be a top 10 player of all time, but he is a top 10 or top 5, could be top 3, Ryder Cup player of all time. Back in the day when you think about what he achieved. The reality with this is that there are players who, and Mickelson, maybe he'll win another major. He's going home to play Torrey Pines, the U.S. Open, which should be hell of a sight. God, man, the ratings are going to be great for that. Mickelson and Koepka, I mean, they drew 13 by, I think it was by 7 o'clock, I heard the stat. They had 13 million people, watching that, So, I mean, if I do quick math, what do we have? 330 million people who live in this country? Let me just see what we got here. 330 million times, I mean, that's a decent share for a Sunday. Without Tiger. But the ratings will be banana land for the U.S. Open as well. The elite golfers, and Mickelson may win another. He may. I'm not going to say he can't for sure, but let's just say he doesn't win another major. I think that he's, there are a lot of guys he just can't, no matter what at this point. He just can't top a few of these players. If Mickelson wins another major, and he might not even have to win 2, because I think Phil, not only with 6, but that tag of oldest golfer to ever win a major now, and the way he did it, 6 majors feels almost like 6.5, doesn't it? Right? Like, does Phil Mickelson, if he wins one more major and he ends at 7, Palmer, Snead, Sarazen, Bobby Jones, and Varden, that's the territory Phil Mickelson would enter with one more major win. As it is right now, he's in Nick Faldo, Lee Trevino area, which is pretty good. But I got Mickelson past those 2 guys. I got him past both of them because of the era, the competition. Think about this too. Phil Mickelson, 45 PGA Tour wins, 6 majors, and 11 European wins in the Tiger era. You know, like the era you play in sometimes dictates how much you win. Men's tennis players for the last 20 years, you know, if you're Andy Roddick, if you're Andy Murray, if you're, you know, you're looking at, like, dude, I was born at the wrong time. I had to deal with Joker. I had to deal with Nadal. I have to deal with Federer. You know? Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Sean Kemp, John Stockton, Gary Payton. They all don't have rings because of Michael Jordan. Dominique Wilkins, Clyde Drexler. You know? They don't have rings. They don't have rings because of Michael Jordan. Tom Brady. You know, does Peyton Manning have 4 or 5 rings if he's not in the era? You know, with Tom Brady, you can go on and on and on with different sports, different era. Look at the 80s, right? I mean, I mean, do the Bruins have 1 cup? Does somebody else have an extra cup or 2? You know, does Calgary win a couple if the Oilers and the Islanders are not dynasties? You know, it's all very possible. If, you know, you're not in the era, you win a lot more. Same thing with Phil. Phil in the Tiger era to get 45 wins on tour, 11 European and 6 of those being majors in terms of the 45. It's a remarkable accomplishment. And again, having that title of oldest golfer ever to win a major. Listen, I got him ahead of Nick Faldo. I got him ahead of Lee Trevino. So the question is, who is ahead of Phil Mickelson? Jack Nicklaus. Well, I got Tiger Woods as the greatest golfer of all time. I know he's short by a few major wins, but I've explained a million times over why I think Tiger's number 1. I got Tiger 1. I got Nicklaus 2. Now, from here, it gets really hairy because Walter Hagen is the one guy on this list who I can never figure out where to put him historically. He has 11 majors, but he played in an era where the tour was just not really that deep. He didn't have a ton of, you know, like the 300th best player in the world. I mean, it was dominated. It was top heavy. I mean, he had Jimmy Barnes, I guess. I'm kind of going through the years here to see if some of these other guys. Jim Barnes was the Englishman, played, I guess, in that time, right? I'm trying to see who else maybe played that 1914 to 1929 type of era. You know, guys like Ted Ray, Jock Hutchinson, I guess, are in this group. But it wasn't close to what it is today. You had a lot of guys winning 1 major, I guess, from that era that I didn't realize. Now that I look at it, you got Arthur Havers, George Duncan, guys like that, Chick Evans. So maybe it was a little bit deeper than I thought. Still, though, not in the Tiger era, not in the Nicklaus, Palmer, Player, Watson era. I got Tiger 1, I got Nicklaus 2, and I don't know where the hell to put Walter Hagen. And therefore, I got Ben Hogan 3. Ben Hogan's got 9 majors. You think about the comeback. My goodness. I mean, the career that he had, absolutely spectacular. You know, just, I mean, he was hit by a bus, right? And you know, you could argue, I know people were going nuts about Tiger, as was I, but like, Ben Hogan, you could make an argument. I mean, this guy comes back after that crash, and, you know, 1950 U.S. Open, he just goes out and wins it. One of the sweetest swings. I mean, everybody knows the famous picture. The guy was a player, man. I got him number 3. I think Ben Hogan is number 3. I do. Who do I have number 4? You know, I guess I'm going to go Gary Player. He's got 9 majors, like Hogan. Player, for some reason, like Tom Watson, gets forgotten about. I would put Player right there. Then I would probably put, I'd go Tiger, Jack, Hogan, Player, Watson right after that, just because he has 1 more major than Bobby Jones. Then I would go Bobby Jones. That's 6 already. That's 6 golfers already. Now, where do I go now with Arnold Palmer is, the second most impactful golfer of all time behind Tiger. I probably go, he's got one more major. You look at impact, you look at overall wins, this and that and the other thing. I probably go Arnold Palmer, but then, again, I have to figure out Walter Hagen. Palmer has 62 wins professionally around the PGA Tour. You got to put him because of more wins and another major. He's got to be ahead of Phil. Then what do? Do I put Walter Hagen right there and then Mickelson? Or Mickelson ahead of Hagen because of the PGA Championship recently and the significance of it? He's 5 majors behind, though, which is... So I'm going to put Hagen and then Phil. So where does that leave Phil? Well, if we recount, Tiger, Jack, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Tom Watson, Bobby Jones, Arnold Palmer, Bobby Jones, Arnold Palmer, Walter Hagen, Phil Mickelson, I think, at number 9. Now, there's one other guy, and that's Sam Snead, who has 7 majors. Again, because of era and significance of Phil doing it at that age, I have Phil slightly ahead of Snead. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna Sam Snead, because he's got the PGA wins record too. That's a big deal. And he played in a pretty darn crazy great era. I mean, he had to deal with Ben Hogan and others. Man, this is tough. Phil Mickelson or Sam Snead in there. Man, at 9. Yeah, I'm going to have to put Snead ahead of Mickelson. I'm going to have to, because he has one more major. Not that that's the end all be all. It's not the decider for me. But the wins record doesn't get talked about enough in golf. 82. He's tied with Tiger. So that puts Phil actually right at top 10. Puts him right at 10. And it tells you a couple different things. It tells you that he's a hell of a player. And number 2, it tells you how elite the other guys are too. I mean, to be able to have careers that are ranked ahead of Phil Mickelson. So Tiger, Jack, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Tom Watson, Bobby Jones, Arnie, Walter Hagen. You know what? I'm going to put Sam Snead ahead of Walter Hagen too. And I'm going to go Snead, then I'm going to go Hagen, then Mickelson. And you know what? I'm going to put Mickelson 9. I'm going to go Hagen 10. That's what I'm going to do. And I know he has 5 more majors than Phil. But I'm looking at the impact of the game, playing in the Tiger era. 58 total wins for Walter Hagen too. 58. But and I know he was the father of professional golf. He brought prestige, big prize money. He was, lucrative. I mean, he did a lot of stuff that Tiger did decades before. I gotta go. He was born in Rochester as well. For some of you who are listening in New York State and didn't know that. With Phil and the significance being the oldest player and doing all this in the Tiger era and the depth of the tour, I got to put Mickelson at 9. I'm going to put him at 9 and then Hagen at 10. He's inside the top 10. And that's pretty good. And I knew I'd waffle a little bit as I was doing this list. Tiger, Jack, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Tom Watson, Bobby Jones, Arnold Palmer, Sam Snead, Phil Mickelson, and then Walter Hagen. That's pretty good. By the way, Mickelson is ahead of, Byron Nelson on my list. Ballesteros, Els, Rory, Brooks Koepka, Tommy Armour, Hal Irwin, Vijay Singh, Padraig, Jordan Spieth. And you say, well, geez, Jordan Spieth. Yeah, but Jordan Spieth has 3 majors. Unbelievable. Wow. What a win for Phil. Super happy for him. Great, great moment in golf. ML Sports Platter brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, the Vince Aguirre Consulting Group, Barks and Rec Doggy Daycare, and our good buddy Brian Comboy over at Mass Mutual New York State. Tax-efficient retirement planning today with Brian. Make sure you go with Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State. Make sure you also hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports, ML Sports Platter on Facebook and Instagram. I do 9-minute with Mike Lindsley videos and 1-minute ML Sports takes on all the platforms like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, and TikTok. So make sure you follow me across the board there. Again, new and archived episodes can be delivered right to your cell phone. Just download and subscribe to the pod where you get podcasts on your smartphone device. Find that purple podcast button, for example, on an Apple phone. Tap it, hit search, type in ML Sports Platter, hit the subscribe button, and you are off and running. Thank you so much for listening again. And as I always tell you, enjoy the games.